One of the strategies that I use when I'm fishing for walleye and cranking weed lines is I try to pick shorelines that have a steep dropping shoreline. So if you look here, these trees, it's almost an elevation change of about, I'm going to say 50-60 feet. And the weeds are growing close to shore because the bottom drops off real quick. So you can see the weeds just up from the stalk. I try to cast parallel, like I just did there. And I got into some weeds. A lot of times when you're making a long cast, it's trial and error for where the weeds are. So I'm going to try to keep the electric out just a little bit. Constantly looking at the direction of the motor head. Because these walleyes that are swimming in open water out here in the bay contact these weed lines. I believe that they're swimming anywhere from about 4 to 10 feet below the surface. So when they hit a weed line, they follow the weed line for a little bit. One of my favorite ways to fish these crankbaits is using a bait caster. This is a Duckett. It's a 7-foot bait caster matched with a Duckett reel. Sometimes I can see the weeds visually, like I just cast into the weeds there. I should have looked first. Sometimes I can only see them on my fish finder. Very important that these weeds are not on my lure so that I get the best action. So let me try out here. So it's a little bit of experimenting. When I find a really good weed line, I will actually mark a track on my fish finder so that I know exactly where the weed line is, because even though I have the hydrographic charts, the problem is that the weeds change every year. I also strategically try to set myself up so that I am drifting with the wind, obviously, so I'm using less power, and I'm also casting farther. Though long casts sometimes are not good because you catch weeds. So I'm constantly pulsing the electric and watching my angle. You can see how bright that crankbait is. You know, there's crankbait strategies. I usually use a crankbait that's very visible when there's a lot of algae blooms in the water. I'd also always try to anticipate a hit. Just off the weeds. Let's have a look at this fish. Key is finding weeds that are close to deep water. This guy's got tons of energy. Come on. Lots of power. I love the action on these Duckett rods. For cranking, amazing. Good fish. Come on up. Very nice walleye. Come here. There we go. Beautiful, healthy fish. That crankbait is already out of its mouth. That's how fast they are. Show you this fish in a minute here. Come on. Look how wide his back is. Isn't that a gorgeous specimen? Look at it. Pays off to do all that cranking along these steep dropping breaks. Gorgeous fish.
One of my favorite ways to get walleye is to cast crankbaits. And a lot of times I'll use a spinning outfit. But today I've decided to use this Duckett. This is 7 foot. It's called a medium action, but it's almost medium heavy bait caster. And I mashed it with one of the Duckett bait casting reels. I have it loaded with 20-pound test braid, and I've chosen to go with a white braid and then use a fluorocarbon leader for about 20 inches. That's right here attached to my lure, so the fish don't see it. But the one thing that I want to really talk about in this little segment is that the walleye aren't everywhere. especially when you're targeting them cranking and in the middle of the day, and in the summertime when it's nice and hot. Today we've got about 80-degree air temperature, and one of the patterns that I use is to locate weed lines and weed beds that are close to deep water. When I see deep water, I'm not talking 10, 12 feet, I'm talking 40, 50, 60 feet. I'm a firm believer that these walleye are cruising only about 5 to 12 feet below the surface, suspended even in deeper water. And when they hit a weed bed that's close to that deep water or a weed line, they keep that depth and then they run along the weeds if it's an isolated patch, or they follow the weed line. Now, not all weeds are really good weeds for walleye. The two top aquatic vegetation are coontail and milfoil. And I find that sparse weeds don't attract as many feeding walleye. The thicker the weed bed or the weed line, and the more definite that it is when it meets the deeper water, the more it attracts walleye. So I'll use two techniques. One is I'll cast parallel to the weed line and keep cranking parallel. The other one is that I will go out from the weeds. When I've got a good idea where the weeds are, I will cast to the weeds at about a 45-degree angle and work from that shallow water, let my crankbait dive down to the deeper water until it gets to the boat. A lot of the fish have hit within 10 feet of the boat, and I don't believe that they were following the lure. I believe that they were suspended and my crankbait was actually a little bit deeper. So I try not to make too long a cast if I know that the fish are shallower, closer to the surface, like in the first 5 to 7 feet, because on a long cast, a lot of these crankbaits will dive down to 10, 12, even 14 feet, especially if you're using a low diameter line, like a braided line. So you know what, if you haven't tried targeting walleye in the middle of the day during the summer, I would really encourage you to do it with crankbaits. The other thing is, look for water that's a little bit turbid. It could be from the bottom being stirred up from the wind, or it could be from algae blooms. A lot of people shy away from algae blooms. I go right to them because I know those walleye will feed right around those shallower weeds, even in the middle of the day.
Let's haul this baby in. Nice walleye. Beautiful fish. Bye-bye, walleye. Feels like a heavier fish. I'm gonna let the drag off a little bit. Haven't seen it yet. Oh yeah. Looks like a nice walleye. Hopefully he's hooked okay. Good fish. Yeah. I think that fish is going to go over 24 inches. You know, I love crankbaiting because I know that I'm eliminating a lot of the smaller fish, because I'm going for the larger fish that are eating bait fish, not just organisms along the bottom. That's why I've got so much confidence in crankbaits. This guy hit well. You know what? I'm not hemming this up. This is a pretty sturdy rod. This fish is fighting hard. Be nice to land it to get a measurement on him. He's too big to keep. Come here. Come on. Got my hands full. Gorgeous walleye. All right. Oh, wow. Big fish. That is a hog. Whew. On a crankbait. Good fish. That fish's got to be, I don't know, 28, 29 inches. What a big head. There. There. Let's have a look at this beauty. How's that for a walleye? I'm going to take a quick measurement. He is at the 0 mark, 4, 2, 5, 6, 27. He's 28 inches. Time to get him back. And he should get his energy back pretty quick. Look at how golden this fish is. Oh, he wants to go. Look at, nice wide back. Gorgeous release. Looks like another good eating size fish. It amazes me that these guys are on the feed all day long, even with hot, sunny weather, beautiful clear skies. There we go. Get him in here. Yeah, he's a good eater. I'm guessing he's about 21, 22 inches. Take a measurement of it. Get that lure out. Hooked by the front hook, which is always a good sign that they're hitting a little bit more aggressively. There. We had walleye for dinner last night. It was so good. I don't mind fresh walleye. Come here. Let's see. 0, 18, 19, 20 inches. Perfect eating size. Let's get him in the cooler. Very aggressive fish. Good size fish too. It's about 2 o'clock. A couple hours fishing and they're still active. Come on. The wind's got the boat pulling me away from the fish, but that's okay. Got him. Look at all quality fish. The nice thing is that you can get these on crankbaits all summer long. Look at that. What a gorgeous specimen. I don't want to keep you out of the water too long. Come on. I know. There. Look at gorgeous fish. Fish is almost 2 feet long. Okay, back in the water.